wrote you something, but I never sent it. And now the ink feels older than time. There's a box beneath my bed where words I never said are folded like a fading breath between the lines of what is left. I remember every line I wrote 1,000 times, but courage never found its way to turn those words into the day. The ink is cracked, the paper brown, like time has slowly let it drown. And every sentence feels unclear, like it was never meant to hear. Some things are loud inside the mind, but silent when left behind. Letters buried under dust, in a place no one can trust. Every word I didn't send still speaks to me again and again. Letters buried under dust, turning memory into rust. What I wrote but never gave still echoes like it won't behave. I almost mailed them once or twice, but fear can freeze the simplest price of honesty we try to give to someone else to let it live. Instead they stayed inside that box like broken keys without the locks. And every night I still believe they breathe beneath the dust I grieve. Maybe you would understand the things I couldn't ever hand, but now the distance feels too wide for anything I left inside. It's not the words that hurt the most, it's what we never let them show. Letters buried under dust, in a silence built on trust. Every sentence left behind still lingers somewhere in my mind. Letters buried under dust, between regret and quiet rust. All the truth I couldn't say still finds me in its own strange way. I wonder if you ever knew the things I never said to you, or if my silence spoke too loud and disappeared into the crowd. Maybe you moved on just fine without these words I left behind. And I am just the one who stays, collecting ghosts of former days. The box grows heavier each year, not from weight but from the fear that what I wrote will never be anything but memory. Some truths don't need to be received, they only need to be believed. Letters buried under dust still remain inside of us. Every word I couldn't send becomes a place my thoughts descend. Letters buried under dust, turn to silence, turn to rust. And all the love I never gave still haunts me like an open grave. If I could write them once again, would I be brave enough to send? Or would I still become the same? The one who never called your name and let it fade into dust. Unsaid words, broken lines, some words don't need to reach to teach us what we couldn't speak. Letters buried under dust are still a part of us. It's quiet again, not the kind that hurts anymore, just the kind that stays and doesn't ask questions. I sit where no one calls my name, and somehow it feels the same, like every corner knows my face without a need to give it place. The walls don't judge the things I think, they don't react, they don't even blink. They just exist the way I do, without pretending to be new. Time moves slowly through the air, but I don't feel it going anywhere. It passes through me like a friend that never tries to understand. I used to run from empty rooms, now they feel like chosen tombs. The silence knows me well, it doesn't try to break the spell. It doesn't ask me to be more or knock me down like times before. The silence knows me well, it's the only truth I can tell, when everything I tried to be was just noise escaping me. I talk sometimes just to recall the sound of something, anything at all. But words feel strange inside my mouth, like they don't know what I'm about. So I return to quiet ground where no expectations can be found, and slowly I begin to see the silence isn't absence, it's me. It holds the shape I used to hide, the parts I never put aside, and now they rest without a fight inside this never-ending night. No one comes, no one leaves, just the space that lets me breathe. The silence knows me well, better than the words I tell. It doesn't need a reason why, it just stays when moments die. The silence knows me well, it's the only place I fell, but never got back up to prove I had anything to lose. I used to think I needed sound to prove that I was still around, but now I find a different way to live without the need to say that I am here, that I exist beyond the chaos and the mist. Because in this quiet I have found the kind of truth without a sound. And maybe I was never lost, just learning what the silence costs. A slower life, a softer name, where nothing ever stays the same. The less I speak, the more I hear the truth that only grows in here. The silence knows me well, it doesn't need to break or yell. It just exists and lets me be a version only I can see. The silence knows me well, it's the story I can't sell, because it isn't meant to show, it's only meant for me to know. Maybe silence isn't empty, maybe it's just full of me. Everything I tried to hide finally lives here inside, and it doesn't leave, it just stays. No fear, no fight, just endless, quiet night. The silence knows me well, and I no longer need to rebel against the calm I used to fear, because it has become so clear. The silence knows me well, it's the only truth I tell. Not everything must make a sound to mean I'm truly found. So I stay here, not alone, just accompanied by what I've always known. The silence that knows me well. I don't turn the light on anymore, not because I'm afraid, but because I already know what's sitting there with me. There's a shape beside my chair. It doesn't speak, it doesn't stare, but I can feel it breathe the same, like it remembers every name. The room is quiet, almost still, yet something here bends at will. Not physical, not something seen, just something that has always been. I try to move, it moves with me, like it was part of history, a version of me I left behind, but never fully drew the line. I thought the past would drift away, but it learned to stay. Shadows sitting next to me, they don't leave, they just agree. Every step I try to take, they follow every choice I make. Never gone, they've been here all along. Sometimes I hear them in the night, not voices clear, but out of sight. A shift in air, a heavier tone, like I was never here alone. They know the things I never say, the parts I tried to throw away, but nothing truly disappears. It only learns to reappear, and every mistake I deny is just a shadow passing by, sitting quiet, patient still, waiting for me to feel it still. You can run, but not erase what time has already played. Sitting next to me, not enemies, just history. Every silence that I keep, they collect and never sleep. Shadows sitting next to me, like reflections I can't free. They don't judge, they don't pretend, they just stay until the end. I still invite to sit with me each night. Shadows sitting next to me, they are part of what I see. Not a curse, not a chain, just the echo of my pain. Shadows sitting next to me, quiet as they used to be. I don't fight what I have done, I just sit with everyone. Maybe shadows are not dark, maybe they're just the mark of every place I couldn't leave, every truth I didn't believe. And now they stay, because I stayed too. Nothing to fear, just me and what used to be. What used to be. Shadows sitting next to me, no longer something I flee. They are just a part of time that quietly aligns with mine. Shadows sitting next to me, and now I finally see they were never something new. They were just me passing through. I don't ask them to leave, I don't ask them to stay. They already know the way, because they are not behind me. They are with me, always. Always. Last night I wasn't alone, not really. I met someone I used to be. He stood in the corner of the room, half light fading into gloom. Same eyes but older than mine, like time had fractured his design. He didn't speak at first, just stared, like he had always been prepared to see me here, become this face in this unfamiliar place. And when I finally broke the air, he said, "You brought me back from there, from every choice you didn't take, from every promise you forsake. I didn't know if I should run or face the damage I've become." I spoke to ghosts of who I was. They didn't judge me for what's lost. They only asked me soft and slow, "If you are me, then why'd you go?" I spoke to ghosts of who I was inside the silence, just because some part of me still needs to know, where did the version of me go? He showed me roads I never walked, the dreams I buried, never talked, the chances I let slip away, like they were never meant to stay. He wasn't cruel, he wasn't kind, just something echoing my mind, a truth I couldn't quite ignore, a door I closed but felt once more. And in his voice I heard the cost of everything I thought I lost. just what you refuse to be. I spoke to ghosts of who I was. They didn't ask for any cost. They only stood there in the past, like asking why I couldn't last. I spoke to ghosts of who I was, not made of pain or broken loss, just fragments time refused to keep, still watching me when I sleep. I asked him, do you hate me now for all the ways I broke my vow? He shook his head and looked away, like words were something he couldn't say. He said, I am not gone from you. I am the part you never grew. I am the weight you didn't face, the version lost in endless space. And suddenly I understood that nothing in me truly stood apart from all I left behind. We are the same, just redefined. The ghost just smiled and stepped aside and said I never really died. I spoke to ghosts of who I was. They didn't ask for reason, 'cause they only showed me what I am. Not perfect, not a broken plan. I spoke to ghosts of who I was, and slowly I became, because I stopped denying what is real and started learning how to feel. Maybe ghosts are not the past. Maybe they are things that last inside the choices we avoid, inside the space we left destroyed. And they don't leave because we die. Still here, still me, still what I used to be. No end, no start, just pieces of a broken heart. I spoke to ghosts of who I was, and finally I understood. They weren't haunting me at all. They were the parts I didn't call. I spoke to ghosts of who I was, and now I know the simple cause. You cannot lose what still remains inside your veins, inside your name. The ghost didn't leave, he just became quiet. And so did I, because now I know we were never separate, only unfinished.
It's quiet now, not empty, just complete. Like everything is finally breathing at the same time.
I walked through everything I knew, through broken skies and fading blue, through shadows that I called my own, through places that felt like stone. I carried weight I couldn't name, mistaking silence for my shame. But every road I tried to roam was just a path that led me home. And now I see what I became was never lost, was never blamed. Just all the pieces I denied, returning softly to my side. and I don't fight it anymore. The wind is knocking at the door. When the wind finally calls me home, I will not walk it all alone. Every scar becomes a sign that I was always meant to find. When the wind finally calls me home, no more running, no more stone, just a quiet open sky where everything I was can lie. I see the ghosts I used to fear. They're not so dark when I am near. They fade into a softer light, no longer something I must fight. The names I lost along the way now feel like echoes that will stay, not haunting me but holding space for every version I embrace. And even time begins to slow, like it was waiting for me to know that nothing here was ever gone. It was just learning to belong. The past is not a wound that breaks, it's just the shape that memory takes. When the wind finally calls me home, I don't feel lost, I don't feel gone. Just every moment I have known, returning softly to my soul. When the wind finally calls me home, I am no longer made of stone, but something light, something whole, a quiet place inside control. I thought I had to be repaired to prove I ever truly cared, but now I see I was complete, even in my broken feet. The journey was not to become something better, more than some. It was to see what I already was, without a need for any cause. And every shadow I once chased now feels like light I can't embrace, because the dark was just a part of how I learned to hold my heart. There is no end, there is no start, just everything that forms the heart. When the wind finally calls me home, I will not fear the unknown, because I've walked through every pain and learned to stand within the rain. When the wind finally calls me home, I will not break, I will not roam, just settle where I always was, inside the silence and the dust. Maybe home was never far, maybe it's just who we are, not a place beyond the sky, but the truth we can't deny, that we were never lost at all. Just learning how to stand and fall. No more running, no more fear. Everything is already here. When the wind finally calls me home, I will answer on my own, not as someone I must be, but as everything in me. When the wind finally calls me home, there is nothing left unknown. Only peace I couldn't see was always waiting inside me. The wind speaks softly now, not calling me away, but bringing me back to where I always stayed. And I understand was never a place, it was me.
The river's gone now, but the ground still remembers every step, every name. Nothing really disappears, it just dries. I walked a road that cracked in two, where something once alive once grew. The river dried but left its trace, like time still carved into this place. The sun hangs low like it did back then, when I still knew just who I'd been, before the silence took its claim and washed away what had a name. I see the lines beneath my feet, old boot prints fading in the heat. Not mine alone, not all erased, but every step I can't replace. And in the dust I feel it breathe, the ghost of what I chose to leave. And I don't know if I'm too late, or just walking into fate. Boot prints and dry riverbeds, where the living words were never said. Every step still echoes slow through a place I used to know. Boot prints in the fading ground, where the lost still circle round, and I follow what remains. Through the silence, through the pain. There's a hollow where the water ran, like a scar across this broken land. I knelt down just to feel the clay, but nothing there could make it stay. I heard your voice inside the wind, not loud enough to pull me in, but just enough to let me know you never really let me go. And every mile I tried to run just led me back to what I'd done. No matter where I laid my head, I dreamed of rivers long since dead. And now I stand where we once stood, between regret and understood. If time could speak, what would it say about the parts we gave away? Boot prints in dry riverbeds, where the living words were never said. Every shadow, every line still connects your past to mine. Boot prints that the dust won't hide, every truth I pushed aside, now they rise beneath my feet. Every memory incomplete. I tried to bury what I knew, but dirt remembers more than you. And every step I tried to fake still trembled like a small mistake. There's no more water left to cry, no more truth left to deny, just open land and open skies, and all the weight of unsaid goodbyes. And maybe this is what it means to walk between what's lost and seen, not moving on, not standing still, just learning how to feel still. And I can't wash these steps away, they're etched in everything I've made. Boot prints and dry riverbeds, my name. Through the dust, through the flame. Blueprints that refuse to fade. Every choice, every mistake, now I walk them one by one, till the weight of them is done. Maybe nothing's meant to stay, not the night, not even day. But what we leave beneath our feet is something time cannot delete. Not a voice, not a sound, just a mark upon the ground. And no matter where I go, these are things I'll always know. Still walking, still tracing, still facing everything I tried to outrun. Oh, blueprints in dry riverbeds, every word I left unsaid, now they rise like desert rain, falling back into my pain. Blueprints where the river died, but something deeper still survives. And I finally understand why I never left this land. The river's gone, but I'm still here. And these steps, they never disappear.